Have you ever noticed how some people don't just drift away from others? They cut everyone off. One day they're replying, joking, showing up, and the next day, gone. No explanations, no drama posts, no long goodbye messages, just silence. And the weirdest part, they often seem calmer after doing it, almost lighter. Today we're talking about the psychology of people who cut everyone off. And before you assume they're heartless, antisocial, or too dramatic, slow down. Because once you understand what's really happening in their mind, a lot of things are going to click. First, let's clear something up. Cutting people off is rarely impulsive. It looks sudden from the outside, but inside, it's usually the result of years of emotional buildup. These people don't wake up one morning and think, you know what sounds fun today? Losing all my connections. No. What usually happens is quiet exhaustion. Small disappointments stacked on top of each other, feeling unheard, feeling misunderstood, feeling like they're always explaining themselves, adjusting themselves, shrinking themselves to keep peace. Psychologically, this creates emotional burnout. And when burnout hits, the brain doesn't want negotiation. It wants relief. People who cut everyone off often have a deep sensitivity to emotional imbalance. They're the ones who notice when they're giving more than they're receiving, when they're always checking in but no one checks on them, when they're expected to understand everyone else, but no one really tries to understand them. Over time, this creates a feeling of emotional debt. And instead of asking for repayment, they close the account completely. It's not punishment, it's self-preservation. There's also a strong link between cutting people off and boundaries that were ignored for too long. Some people grow up learning that their boundaries don't matter. They learn to tolerate disrespect, emotional inconsistency, or being taken for granted. At first, they cope by staying quiet, then by overthinking, then by distancing emotionally while still being physically present, and eventually, the only boundary that feels effective is distance. Complete distance. From a psychological perspective, cutting people off becomes a way to finally feel safe. Interestingly, many people who cut everyone off are not antisocial at all. In fact, they're often deeply social by nature. They care a lot, maybe too much. That's the problem. Their empathy runs high, but their emotional recovery time runs long. So when relationships start draining more than nourishing, they don't just feel tired, they feel emptied. Imagine pouring water into cups all day and never getting a refill. At some point, the cup cracks. Walking away becomes the only way to stop the leak. Another major factor is trust fatigue. People who cut everyone off usually trusted the wrong people for too long. They believed words. They gave second chances, third chances, one more time chances. And every broken expectation slowly rewired their brain to associate closeness with disappointment. Psychologically, the mind starts to protect itself by reducing emotional exposure. Less connection means fewer chances to get hurt. And when that belief settles in deeply, isolation feels safer than connection. Some people do this after betrayal. Others do it after years of subtle emotional neglect. And for some, it's not about others at all. It's about themselves. They reach a point where they realize they don't like who they become around certain people. They're more anxious, more reactive, less authentic, less calm. Cutting people off becomes a way to return to themselves. It's not rejection, it's realignment. You'll also notice that people who cut everyone off often don't announce it. There's no dramatic exit, no public explanations, no "let me tell you what you did wrong" speech. That's because emotionally, they've already said everything in their head 1,000 times. By the time they leave, they're done talking. Silence isn't avoidance, it's closure. Psychologically, this behavior is also tied to a strong internal world. These people are thinkers, reflectors, overanalyzers. They replay conversations, tones, moments. They connect dots others don't even notice. And while that awareness can be a gift, it can also be exhausting. When their mind gets too crowded with unresolved emotional noise, the easiest way to quiet it is to remove the source. Not fix it, remove it. Another interesting trait is emotional independence. People who cut everyone off often learn how to self-soothe better than most. They become comfortable being alone, not lonely, alone. They can sit with their thoughts, spend time without constant validation, enjoy quiet routines. From the outside, this can look cold, but psychologically it's actually a sign of self-regulation. They've learned that peace doesn't always come from people, it often comes from space. That doesn't mean they don't miss people. They do, a lot. They just miss peace more. And when those two are in conflict, peace usually wins. There's also a pattern of a high self-awareness here. People who cut everyone off usually know their limits. They know what triggers them, what drains them, what environments slowly break them down. And once that awareness is fully formed, tolerating the same cycles again feels almost disrespectful to themselves. Walking away becomes an act of self-respect, not ego. Humor plays a role too. Interestingly, many of these people use humor to mask emotional exhaustion before they leave. They joke, they downplay, they say, "I'm fine," while mentally counting the days until they disconnect. Laughter becomes a pressure valve, and once they finally cut ties, that humor often turns inward. Self-deprecating jokes, dry observations, quiet smiles. It's how they process loss without reopening wounds. It's also worth mentioning that cutting everyone off doesn't always mean forever. Sometimes it's a reset, a pause, a detox. Psychologically, distance allows the nervous system to calm down, to remember what baseline peace feels like, to separate real connection from emotional obligation. And once that clarity returns, some people slowly rebuild, more carefully, more selectively, more honestly. But here's the part people misunderstand the most. Cutting people off doesn't mean you think you're better than them. It usually means you're tired of feeling worse around them. Big difference. These individuals are often misunderstood as too guarded or emotionally unavailable. In reality, they've just learned that access to their inner world is valuable, and not everyone deserves it. They're not closed off, they're selective. You'll also notice they don't seek revenge. They don't try to prove anything. They don't need closure conversations. Their closure comes from consistency, choosing themselves every day, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. So if you know someone who suddenly went quiet, disappeared, stopped explaining, and focused inward, it doesn't mean they stopped caring. It means they cared for too long without feeling safe enough to keep caring. The mind didn't shut down, it recalibrated. And maybe there's something here for all of us. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. Not every connection is meant to last forever. And sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom finally getting loud enough to be heard. Because at the end of the day, people who cut everyone off aren't running away from others. They're running back to themselves. And psychologically, that might be one of the bravest things a person can do.